guys, it's Hannah. Welcome back to another True Crime Tuesday. I'm so sorry I took a little break there. I had to go to work. It was not fun, but I'm back. I'm ready to talk about some terrifying things. And before I get started on this really tragic case, I just want to put a disclaimer that I mean no disrespect to the families involved. All of the information I found was just factual evidence that I found on the internet, and I'll be listing sources below. This case is so sad because it involves a 19-year-old woman who was murdered and had her baby taken from her. And I'm 20, I'm almost 21, and when I was 19, I mean it wasn't that long ago, I was just very young. I'm still very young. I can't even imagine dealing with that. Her husband is just a few years older than her, and this is just awful. And the woman who actually did this, she was 46, and she had the intelligence to know not to do this, right? I mean, obviously everyone has the instinct to not do this, but she was a mother herself, and she did this to a 19-year-old girl who was just a little younger than her own daughter. So before I start getting too much into it and getting myself too riled up, let's just start from the beginning. So the beautiful woman that we are talking about is Marlen Ochoa-Lopez, and as I said, she was 19 at the time of her death. She was absolutely gorgeous, and she had moved from San Luis de la Loma, which is in Mexico, to Chicago, or the Chicago area, when she was a young child. She was the oldest of 4 siblings, and she was very nurturing to her younger siblings. She really helped a lot around the house. Marlen never got to meet her grandparents, so that was something that she always wanted to do. Whether she was going to go back to Mexico and meet them, or they were going to come to Chicago and meet her, that was always a dream of hers. Marlen also wanted to be a fashion designer and be a stylist. She posted a few things on Facebook saying that modeling was her true dream. Marlen really wanted to be a singer, and I think that she definitely had enough hard work and persistence to be able to do this. She was a wonderful mother to a 3-year-old. She had taken her child to church every Sunday, and she was very nurturing to her child that she already had. Marlen was working on graduating from high school, and Marlen was attending Latina Youth High School in Chicago, and this was actually where she was last seen. One of Marlen's goals that was very close in reach was her graduating from high school, and after that she would have more time to do the things that she loved, such as singing and writing music, as well as designing fashion. Marlen was very excited when she found out that she had a second child coming her way. She was married to her husband, Ivani, and they had a very great relationship from what everyone could tell. So while Marlen was carrying this baby and getting excited for her new child, and her life was going very smoothly, another woman's life was deteriorating. Now, I don't know this lady's this bitch's last name, I don't really care. Her name's Clarissa. Her daughter's name is Desiree. Clarissa's 46, Desiree is 24, which is very young, close to the age of Marlen. Clarissa also had a 20-year-old son who had recently passed away in October of 2018, this last year, which I'm not sure the circumstances around that. That's very sad. It doesn't give her an excuse to do what she did. That's all I have to say. So let's get into what this bitch did. This case infuriates me. Also, I feel like it didn't get enough media attention, and the family feels that way as well as other cases, other fetal abduction cases, because this woman was an immigrant. But I don't know. The connection between these two women was a little hard for me to understand, but basically, Clarissa's crazy. She basically, after her 20-year-old son passed away in October, she started to say that she was pregnant again, which came as a surprise to her family because she had had her tubes tied. What? So, I guess her family, didn't question that a whole lot. So approaching the birth of her child, she would update her Facebook status by posting an ultrasound that I don't know where she got that. She posted a picture of an ultrasound. She posted things trying to connect with other mothers in her area, saying who's doing May, where my May mama's at, stuff like that, because she was doing May, she was gonna kill a mother doing May and take their baby. So Marlen was due in May. And so they connected that way over Facebook. And they then talked in a private message, and Marlen receives an offer from Clarissa to come get some clothing from her house because she basically had some baby's clothing that she wasn't going to use and that she could just give it to Marlen and that they could maybe talk, connect, I don't know. So Marlen agreed because it's like another pregnant woman. Like, the last thing you think is going to happen is this other pregnant woman that you met on Facebook is going to like murder you. So Clarissa eventually invited Marlen over to her house to get these clothes, and Marlen agreed. She went over to her house. When Marlen arrived, they started looking at some scrapbooks. Clarissa had previously asked her 24-year-old daughter to help her like murder a pregnant woman, which her daughter, I guess, agreed to, and I guess they're both crazy, like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So they are in on this together. They're in cahoots. They're gonna murder this woman, like rip the baby out of her, and then claim that it is her mother's. And her mother has been pregnant this whole time. Which she's like so heavy that you couldn't tell if she was pregnant, so it's like not even like a concern. So while they were looking at scrapbooks, Marlen was, I guess, distracted looking at this scrapbook with Clarissa. Desiree grabbed a cord and started to strangle her. And I guess Marlen was not, like, she was like fighting back, she was resisting. Desiree couldn't get the job done, I guess. So Clarissa said, "You're not doing your job," and took over. And it took about 5 minutes for her to like kill Marlen. And as Marlen was dying, she reached up and touched the family dog's nose. So after Marlen is finally dead, Clarissa literally takes a kitchen knife and cuts the baby out of her. And in the process of doing this, the baby is deprived of oxygen because the mother is dead. It's not, the baby's not getting oxygen. Basically, this poor little baby suffered brain damage. Irreversible brain damage that no medicine could fix. So once they had the baby out of Marlen, they put Marlen in a plastic like trash bag, put her in a garbage can, like cool, that's done. Clarissa got the baby and they called 911. This is like, oh my god. Clarissa called 911, or like her daughter, I don't know. They called 911 and said that the baby was Clarissa's. That she had just like birthed this baby and that she was like in pain, like she needed medical attention, so they fucking brought an ambulance and like brought her to the hospital and like and basically she just went, like, she just kept saying like, "This is my baby," like pretended to be all sick and stuff. The baby was like on life support, it couldn't breathe on its own, could not swallow on its own, and she was claiming that it was hers. So Marlen had been reported missing on April 23rd, and her family was looking everywhere for her and for her baby because at this point she had given birth. She had passed her due date. And they should have been celebrating, but instead they were just like panicking. And this is like a side thing, like this isn't the baby that belonged to Marlen, obviously, but around the same time in Chicago, like around the time that they were looking for the baby that was Marlen's, there was a baby that was discovered in an alley, like on a trash can, just like wailing and kicking. And Marlen's family had to like go through a lot of work to get a DNA test done, and eventually they like found out that was not Marlen's child, but like what the fuck. So eventually a tip comes in. One of Marlen's friends basically is like, well, she was talking to this lady on Facebook, like Clarissa, I think she said she was gonna go like get some stuff from her, I don't know, or maybe they like were able to log into her Facebook and see like her messages, so they were able to track her down to Clarissa. Then they found out Clarissa was in a hospital. Once they got to the hospital, they talked to Desiree, and Desiree was all like,
"My mom's in here for leg problems."
And they were like, "What, bitch? Like, what?" And she was like, "Okay, she just had a baby." So they were pretty certain that this baby that was in the hospital on life support was Marlen's, but they did a DNA test and discovered that it was Marlen and Ivani's baby. They ended up naming him Ivani after his father, and Ivani spent every day with his baby.
The conference held just a short time ago. News conference, police revealing the horror tonight. A young pregnant mother targeted, her unborn baby stolen. Her family says she communicated with a woman through Facebook for free baby clothes. The mother did not survive. The baby is fighting for his life tonight, and ABC's Alex Perez is in Chicago.
Tonight, a chilling crime in Chicago. Police say pregnant 19-year-old Marlen Ochoa-Lopez was brutally murdered and her unborn child then forcibly taken from her body. Tonight, 3 suspects under arrest.
Words really cannot express how disgusting and thoroughly disturbing these allegations are.
Ochoa-Lopez was 9 months pregnant. Family members say 3 weeks ago she communicated with a woman on Facebook for some free baby clothes and then vanished. Later that same day, paramedics racing to this home after a 46-year-old woman claimed to have just given birth.
The baby isn't breathing. The baby is pale and blue. They're doing CPR.
That newborn, police now say it was actually Ochoa-Lopez's baby. That young mother's body found yesterday at that home.
I just don't get and understand how you can harm such a young, beautiful person.
The 46-year-old woman and 2 other people now in custody. Ochoa-Lopez's family devastated. That newborn in grave condition. His heartbroken father asking everyone to pray for his little angel.
And they had already found Marlen's body at this point, which still had the cord which they used to strangle her around her neck. Ivani Jr. was fighting for his life for 53 days in the intensive care unit. And finally justice was served, and Desiree and Clarissa are in fucking prison. And Clarissa's boyfriend, which, how did this bitch have a boyfriend? Also has charges because he helped clean up the crime scene, and he knew about this and was playing along with it. But on June 14th, the baby, Ivani Jr., eventually passed away.
3 people face charges in connection with the death of the baby's mother. Now the family is pushing for additional charges for the baby's death as well.
WGN's Eric Rung joining us now with more on that part of the story. Eric.
Yeah, just a really, really sad story all the way around. Really tough to even cover. The father's attorney told us today baby Ivani took a turn for the worse overnight. A priest was called around 1 this morning to deliver last rites. Then around 5 this morning, the baby died naturally with his family surrounding him. For 53 days, Ivani Lopez survived with the help of machines and love from his family. There was no medicine that would reverse the brain damage he'd suffered. His father, Ivani Lopez, had prayed for a miracle. Today, they pray he can rest in peace.
I believe that he's in heaven with his mother and his suffering has ended.
Frank Avila is representing the baby's father.
Ivani Lopez, the father, is in a great deal of mourning. He's very sad.
Police say his wife, 19-year-old Marlen Ochoa-Lopez, was lured to a Southwest Side home with the promise of baby clothes. She was then strangled and had her baby cut from her womb. A mother and daughter have been charged in her death. A boyfriend has also been charged with helping clean up the murder. Another charge of murder is expected to be added now that baby Ivani has died.
And they're probably one of the worst criminals I have ever seen.
After killing the teen, police say Clarissa Figueroa called 911 to say her newborn baby was not breathing. Despite raising red flags, authorities weren't called.
There will be lawsuits, and we are amicably working with some of the people that we're going to be suing, or some of the groups we're suing.
It would take Marlen's family another 23 days after her murder to learn what had happened to her and that the baby she was 9 months pregnant with was in the intensive care unit at Christ Hospital in Oak Lawn, where for 53 days he was held, loved, and prayed over.
And it was very sad, but the family said that they were glad in the sense that the baby was with his mother and no longer suffering, because here on Earth he was having such a hard time because of the brain damage that Clarissa and Desiree caused. So these women are truly evil. This is one of the most gruesome cases I've ever researched. There was actually another case, Savannah Graywood, and I might do a True Crime Tuesday on that, but it just made me lose my shit. But I'm glad that the father had some time with his son, and that he also has another child to remember Marlen by. And this is so awful, and I just truly think that these women are going to pay for what they did. I don't think other prisoners are going to take too kindly to this, so I think karma will work it all out. And that's it for this True Crime Tuesday, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.